Hey, this is Chuck. Thanks for watching. Today I thought we'd do a little bit of experiment to be just a brief video on how we can go off and maybe dye some CA glue. I thought it'd make an interesting finish. I don't know what the result's going to be or anything, but I thought it'd be fun just to get in there and instead of putting a clear coat on, maybe we could dye it just a little bit just to maybe add just a little extra something to the project. So let's jump right in and I'll explain what we're going to do. What I'm going to use for a dye is some stamp pad ink that I picked up from Staples. I've used this with the epoxy. It kind of came out pretty good. You know, I don't have a clue with the super glue. I'm not a chemist. For all I know, the super glue won't even work anymore. But this is what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to incrementally add a drop until it gets to kind of the deepness of the color that I'm looking for. And I'm thinking I'll start off with like 3 drops to kind of get us going here. And I'll put the cap on and then I'm going to stir it up a little bit. Alright, so we got a bit of a color. I can see what looks like a drop of the ink in there. It doesn't look like it's dissolving very well, but I'm going to keep shaking for a minute or more. Alright, it's a lot darker, and I'm going to go ahead and just get going on this before it maybe breaks up and see where we can go with it. I don't think going to be dark enough. I think I'm going to probably add a couple more coats to it. That I got a streak of in here. Alright, I think that what's happening is the dye's not mixing in very well with the CA, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add say 3 or 4 more drops in and see if that has more of an effect on it, and I'll be right back. Yeah, you can kind of look in here and see that the dye just isn't mixing at all with the CA. But I'm going to try and get a couple more coats in. We'll still keep trying for a few more minutes. Alright, this thing was about 3/4 of the way full when I started out. And I've got 20 drops of the dye in here now. We're getting a bit of a red hue in there now, so I think what I'll do is I'll put another coat or so on it. Alright, so it looks like I've got a little unevenness with the dye, and I'm not sure necessarily why that is, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take I've got like 4 coats onto it now, 5, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just run some 600 grit through it real quick, like, see if I can't smooth that out a bit, and then I'll put the finishing coats on. Okay, I'm secretly hoping that this thing is not going to blow up, but it's so hot to the touch right now that it burns my fingers, and ow. The glue is absolutely solid inside here. There's absolutely nothing coming out on it. It's become a block of glue. So I think I'm going to go out there and take this outside right now and put it in the snow. Let it cool off a little bit. I don't want to start some toxic type of a reaction here in the house. All right, here it is, March 29th. I've still got a foot of snow out here in the front yard. I brought the stuff out. I'm going to go ahead and cut it open just to see what happened inside that tube of CA Finish. So let me get into it. We'll take a look. It's still hot to the touch. I had to wear my buffing gloves right now to be able to handle it. All right, they weren't hot to the touch anymore, but they were still warm after a few minutes out here. Rock solid. So that must have been the chemical reaction that was going on in there. My advice is don't try this one at home, kiddies, because it just didn't work out for me, and I don't recommend it at all for anybody else. Okay, I'm back in the shop now. Mrs. T looked at me really funny when I came back in with my camera gear and stuff, but if I told her what I'd done, she'd never let me play in my shop again. But anyway, these two things here are harder than bricks. It's what's left of the CA container. It's still warm to the touch. It's been about 15 minutes or so since I first went outside. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put them outside and let them cool off overnight just to make sure there's no risk of anything happening inside. And then I'm sure they'll find some like specific place of honor to remind me not to be a dumbass anymore. It was a try. It was worth the effort, but as you can see, it didn't work, and I can only encourage you not to try this in your own home. Hey, thanks for watching. I think what I'm going to do on my next video is the proper techniques to do a CA finish. Take care, be safe, and thanks a whole bunch.